Let's go. We got to motivate people to get on. If you got team members, right now is a good time to send them a text. If you have a group chat, send them a group chat. If you know somebody on the team that's not on the team, call right now, send them a message, because we definitely got, very powerful. Super, Moses is someone I look up to in the solar industry, just as a friend, and the relationship we've been able to develop even without being in the same organization. So I have a lot of respect for him, and his time is super valuable. So definitely super excited to have him on today and give us a little bit of his time and his knowledge, being in the industry for so long. I always tell people that I feel like Moses and Luigi, they created solar. That's how long they've been in solar. Like, I didn't even know that solar existed, 15, 20 years ago. I don't want to say how old I was. Damn. But, that just shows, the amount of experience that they have. And if there's anybody that we want to learn from, it's gonna be from people like them. So I'm super excited to have them on. And I don't know what the format is. I just know Moses is on here, and I know he's gonna drop some knowledge. So what is the format gonna be, Moses? Like, you want me to make you a host? You got a deck, or are you gonna have open convo? Like, what we doing?
Well, Rob and I spoke a little bit about this earlier today. We wanted to share something. He told me you got a few people that were interested in maybe understanding a little bit about enterprise and how enterprise works, and what's the value proposition of an enterprise partner, so that, we can start seeing opportunities to talk to people, about the enterprise program, which I think is going to actually be the one taking over, on the second phase of expansion of our enterprise is going to be a big part of that. So.
Perfect. Because I remember you and I had conversations on that too. Recently when we were in San Diego. So I'm like, so why wouldn't someone do enterprise? And I just remember having that aha moment with you as well. So yeah, super excited about that. So definitely want to introduce you the right way. I know some people on here know who you are. Some people don't. Type a one in the chat if you know who Moses is. Type a one in the chat if you know who he is. Type a number 2 if you don't. You don't know anything. Like, this is the first time. Let's see. One. Okay, we got one number 2. 2. Okay. So we got some people that know Moses and some people that don't. So for the people that are new and the people that don't know Moses, one of the few things that I know about him, obviously, is that he's been in solar. Is it 25 years? 18.
About 15, not that many yet. Hopefully,
okay. Yeah. So 18 years. I always add to that. It's kind of like over edification. That's why I said I feel like you guys invented it. Again, Andrea Budd nominee, top mentor, tier 3 mentor in the industry, top income earner. He's out of the Orlando, Florida market, and just an overall amazing trainer and closer, one of the top closers, which is also huge, to be a tier 3 mentor, but also be one of the top closers, and has gotten recognized, multiple awards. I know you got the Soul Awards. I know you're hosting Orlando Powur Day. I mean, name it. If you see Powur, you see Moses. So again, bringing you guys that value. Just wanted to introduce him as someone that really knows the platform, has been here before Powur even became the platform that it is today, which I think also adds value, and just the experience of having solar attached to that. So without further ado, Moses, do your thing. I appreciate your time, and I really do thank you for being on with us, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Hey, looking forward to it. Thank you, Raisa, for those very kind words. I feel humble just being here again in front of people, just sharing something that for us it's not a job, it's our passion, right? This is what we live through. This is our day to day. So I'm excited every time I'm talking to people, new people, old people, friends or no friends. We're talking about solar, about changing lives, and about making a big impact. And I think that's what really fills this room of the positive energy that we bring. So, for those of you who don't know me, I think Raisa gave a great introduction. I've really been doing solar for about 15 years. I'm a top tier 3 mentor, but, top recruiter as well for the company. I've been in solar for so long, and I have so learned much from top notch organizations. And part of this today is just bring back some of this to you guys that I hopefully bring some value. Like I said earlier, Rob wanted me to share a little bit about enterprise. I have a quick deck that's part of the company. Decks of, I'm going to run it through, right? So if you don't mind, just so that we have a quick guide about, how enterprise comes and what's the value that it brings, and how somebody, that's looking to grow their business from their little local market into a national exposure market like Powur could bring. How do you present that value to them? Yeah, how do you tell a business owner, hey, join Powur? Why would he do that, right? What's the value proposition behind what you're telling this whole business owner to do to actually join as an enterprise, right? So let me share my screen real quick.
Yep, you are a host. It's all
Okay.
yours.
There you go. Thank you. Share the screen. All right. See me well?
Yep, we see it clear.
Okay, super. So, this is a quick overview overall, right? What is enterprise and what are the two types of licenses that enterprise do, right? Enterprise, it's an upgraded version of our regular consultant program. And there's two types of enterprise. The Seller Pro account, which is a second tier account, and the Enterprise Pro account, which is more for already existing businesses, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the differences quite soon. So these two types of enterprise, what can they do? Well, they both can build teams. They both can manage their teams. They both can set roles for support and for lead generation, right? Pro accounts can sit sellers and set certain qualifications for them sellers. And this is the highlight of the points. I will go a little bit more into detail of each once we start going down. This is the high level first communication on them. So Pro account can also design seller commission plans. So they'll have more of a customized commission plan that they'll work for their own sellers that they design. So both accounts got customized lead offers. They both will receive automatic payments and accounting from Powur, with automatic M1s and M2s based upon their seller design commissions, right? Not the regular seller accounts. So they have the Powur manages all of the back office, so their 1099s, their e-wallets, their proposals, their contracts, financing, all of that, it's handled through us, just like we handle it for us as a consultant. They can do the same. So what is the value proposition? This is the key right here. What is the value proposition for a company that wants to join Powur? What can we offer them that they don't already have? If they're a solar company, what can you bring them that they think they don't have, right? And this is where the key differences might come, right? So our cost of goods sold are 70-30 split. Even though it sounds like it's a 70-30 and Powur is keeping 30%, most of these companies are not having the buying power that we as a company have. So just by participating in our ecosystem and being able to buy the material or use the material at our cost instead of theirs, there's always a difference there. I was just talking to an enterprise, and our cost of a solar panel between what he was paying and what he paid through us, there was like a 15 cent a watt difference. So, when you see those numbers, that they can take the advantage of what Powur brings as a heavy buyer and take advantage of those scale purchases that we do at discounted pricing, being such a big company, that's the first thing that calls their attention, right? So we bring the software. So our software, as you know, it's customizable, and now that we have Vision, this is a PowerPoint prior to Vision, but now that we have Vision, it's going to be even easier, because not only will they have automated proposals and designs and contracts, Vision will give them the whole access to the control of that design, right? Before, we were requesting designs to Solo and working with Solo and waiting for those, and we really had no control over what happened with our design. Well, no longer that. Now that we have Vision, and once you're trained on Vision, you are able to really manipulate your designs your own way. And some of these companies love their identity, so they love what they do in-house, right? So they like to have their own things, designs their own way, rather than having somebody do it for them. So they'll take the advantage of, all of our automations and commissions. how many, I manage a very big organization in Puerto Rico, and we had 150 sellers, 200 sellers at one time. And, you know, from Wednesday to Friday, we had 3-4 people in accounting just sitting down, working on seller commissions to try to complete everything by Friday, 2-3 p.m. and be able to write 150 checks on commissions every week. So, you know, we had 4 or 5 employees dedicated alone to commission management and check writing. Ain't that crazy? So now if you're plugged into your Powur enterprise and you manage your team within your enterprise, guess what? On Friday, everybody will get their direct deposit and you had nothing to do with that. So that brings savings to you as an organization, right? Time that your employees can use in something that's more productive, in something that generates income for the company, additional income. Maybe you move that accountant to, I don't know, lead generation, or you move your resources around because now you don't need them for this part of the business. You focus them in the part that makes you the most money on your business, which is not writing checks, right? So, you know, another big benefit to a company looking to come and join us would be gaining access to the leading financing selection that we have and pricing. You know, we have premier financing with Sonova, with Garip, with, you know, Sunlight. I just saw Sunlight coming back with you know, a big reinvestment in their back office. So Sunlight is still a player, even though they got a hit in the bank in California. They're still on their feet and they're doing the best thing to come back because they know it's a clean, good business. So, you know, I've met many of these enterprises, small companies. They never have access to a Sonova because they don't have the size for Sonova's minimum qualifications to become a dealer for Sonova. So, you know, it's only a dream for them to be partnered up with a guy like Goodleaf or like Sunlight or like Sonova because they don't have the access to that type of financing being small local companies. If they do, they might have access to one of them, and their terms and conditions are definitely not the same that ours. We have better dealer fees. We have premier financing from Goodleaf, and we've seen that when outside people have $499 and $599, we still have 449s, and we were still have the 399s when we have them. So being able to tap into that, everything adds. So when you start seeing your overall benefits and you say, well, I can save 10 cents on my equipment buying. By the way, I'm not even buying it now. So how about fixing my cash flow when I don't have to buy equipment to install, right? I can take that off my book. I mean, I get goosebumps. I remember those orders of equipment. Like, you know, you got to send $1 million. You got to send 500,000 and just sit for 30 days for a container of material to come so that you can deliver that and install it. That's no longer necessary, right? Now your money goes to use into what's best for your company. Grow your marketing department, grow your sales organization, right? Grow your presence in your local market, but let that money buying power to Powur. Let that to us, right? How much, you know, I'm gonna use this is an example. I'm working on onboarding a big enterprise player, and he's a multi-state player, right? And this company opened up in California about a year ago. And you know what they had to do to get into that market? And it's crazy. They bought another company because they didn't have the licenses from California. They didn't understand the market. So they went to California, they did a research, and they spent $2.5 million into buying a small solar company just to tap into the market. When I told the owner that I would open California for him once he's onboarded with us for $350, he almost had a heart attack. Because not only would he was able to open California, he was going to be able to open North Carolina, South Carolina, New Jersey, all for the same $350. So our scalability, you know, with what we bring is nothing compared to what they get, right? So I was talking about the equipment and the equipment selection, no longer a cash flow issue for the enterprise. It's more of a service-oriented thing. So, you know, we're obviously leading into storage, and now NEM3 is coming in, and I think that a lot of batteries are going to come into play in California very soon. And there are already 90% of the projects in Puerto Rico are storage-related projects. So we best understand that that is the next thing coming up, and you guys as a consultant, and this is off script a little bit, should start looking into batteries. How do you get training batteries? You know, what's out there available, start tapping into the MFIS trainings that weekly Powur does, the trainings in batteries. Start getting your knowledge there. The energy is gonna transition to that eventually, right? Obviously, being an enterprise, they could also take advantage of the revenue share and the equity. They have their own equity revenue share program. So if they have down, once they can recruit, they can also get revenue share for recruiting. So those accounts can also recruit, and they can get equity bonuses just like we do. So this is, I'm going to skip this a little bit. This is more info that we had before. This is when this was in beta. Right now, we already launched this when we did Power World in March, the official version. They just haven't updated this yet, so we're already off beta. I'm going to go a little bit about the Pro account. And this is the one that, more than likely companies, small installers are going to like, because this is where they can not only sell with us, but they can also become installers by being an enterprise pro. And if they have the qualifications, they can be an installer for Powur as well as a seller for Powur, right? So once you're an enterprise pro, you are the owner of your company, right? And you can open a manager account. And this is like the guy or the position that will manage your pipeline. You're setting defaults. This is the person that manages whoever would be in your regular company, your general manager. This is the person that organizes your office, puts the sellers accounts, who is who. And then you have your support account, which is like an admin account. This would be the account that works with your tickets and your communications with your project managers, right? I tell always my enterprise prospects that, even though Powur supplies us with our project managers for project keeping, I always advise them that, hey, you have one project manager in-house, use it to co-manage your projects to ensure that you have the proper, result with your customers, right? Make sure that she's the one in charge of talking to your customer and to your PM and keep those relationships going so that you build a stronger bond with your customer. It's always good that you have your own admin. If you're building an organization within enterprise, that you include your own project manager as well, so that you can take the most advantage of that. And then, you can generate your seated sellers. And a seated seller, it's a seller account just like ours, but it's an account that lives within the enterprise world, right? So now that you're an enterprise holder, for example, myself, and I have Risa as a seller, I pay $50 to put Risa as a seated seller instead of 85, because now Risa, it's strictly under my enterprise, right? So now she's my seated seller. Now between ourselves, I can assign leads to Risa. I could, track her progress. I could give her leads. I could see reports. Powur will manage all of the M1s and M2 for Risa, but I would still get the overrides for everything that happens under her. It kind of simplifies your operations by taking away most of the admin and money part of your business, right? I see a solar company, and I was an owner once, in 3 split parts. You have your sales organization, you have your operations of the company, and then you have the installation, right? There's EPC, procurement engineering. So on your seller account and when you're an enterprise pro, all you do is take the most complicated part of that equation, is the one in the middle, is the operational part. It's where every company fails operating, because they try to go big internally and they really can't grow, right? The key of our platform is that we don't have one installation crew in the United States, and we are the fastest solar installer in the United States, right? Because our model has proven to be the perfect model where you don't have to have one truck installing when you can have 1,000 companies installing for you nationwide, right? If you have the proper services and the proper, channels of communication and the proper management skills, you can manage this whole thing. And then that's what takes away. Now you as a small company can focus yourself into what you do best. Usually these companies are good at selling, and very good at installing because they've been installing their own projects for some time. They are just bad at project management. They are bad at procurement. They are not bad. They have limitations. They're doing the best they can with what they have. They just can't scale because they don't have the money to grow. They can't do more than 2 or 3 installs because of their limitations, right? Joining Powur takes away the limitation of being able to scale your operation because of cash flow and now focus yourself in seller and install and make sure that my in-house project manager manages my operation within Powur. That way I could be more effective and I could focus my resources into the best thing that I could do. That in my case is sell and install. That's what most of these companies are their strongest, right? So part of what you can do, and I'm going to run quick by this a little bit, is that you can, most of you might know by now that you can lead offer. So, if you are a roofer and you have, plenty of people coming your way for leads, you can actually offer those leads within the platform. You can offer them to your seated sellers, but you can also offer them to the Powur community. So you can have 3 seated sellers, but if you have excess deals, you can go to Risa and say, hey, Risa, I have a deal in, Clearwater that I can offer you, 50% for it or 45% over, because the lead offer doesn't have to be a 50-50 share if you don't want to. You can actually, that's what the offer is about. You offer the lead to Risa, say, hey, Risa, I have a good lead in Clearwater. If you want it, I'll give it to you, but I'll be willing to give you 40% instead of 50%. And then it's up to Risa to say, yeah, I want it. I don't mind. I live in Clearwater. I'll go take care of this deal and I'll make 40%. Before I was making 0, so why not make 40%? So that's where lead offer comes into play very, very aggressively. And it works very well for already existing lead generation companies. So if you're able to land an enterprise that's a lead generation company, this would be a killer for them because they'll be generating leads and assigning them within the Powur platform and getting deals all over the nation. This is what I think the next stage of that enterprise would be. All about lead offers. This is more about lead offers. So some of the things that are coming soon, and most of them are already here, is that we'll have co-branding proposals. And this is part of what Vision brings. Co-branding proposals means that these local installers and these local companies can retain their own branding. Right? Let's use an example. You're talking to an installer in Melbourne, somewhere in Florida, right, in Orlando, and this guy says, hey, no, I've been in business for 5 years. My company is called Sunlight Solar, and I don't want to change my name. I don't want to be Powur. I want to continue to be Sunlight Solar, but I do like your model. How do we work? Well, now we are able to coexist by letting them co-brand our proposals with their name on it as well. Right? So that they can retain that identity and still brand themselves as their own sort of company. But in essence, the back office, it's all Powur. The contract is a Powur contract. The finance is a Powur finance. Powur will procure the equipment and they will contract Sunlight Solar to install it. Right? But it would take away all of that operation. So we would also have, API lead integration. That means that if you as a company have your own operating system where you manage your leads, it will be able to communicate with our platform and kind of put that information together so that you don't have to actually type it all together, but download it from one place to the other and kind of attach it to your platform. You can also, if your qualifications are there and the installer is a good installer, you can even work up to a preferred installer agreement. And that means that Powur selects you as a preferred installer for an area and then your first choice. So that means that every contract that I write in Clearwater, I will give to Risa because that's my preferred installer in Tampa. She deserved that because her KPIs were there. Her delivery was there. Her installation was there on time. The crew know what they're doing. Their admin is there. So Powur has those, identify those brands and kind of say, okay, this is an installer I want most of my deals with. So I'm going to try to feed him as much as I can so that because I know his delivery is good. Right, I know he's doing what needs to be done to supply and fulfill the orders that my sellers, which is us, can bring to the area. Right, there will be a lot of enhanced reporting, CRM capabilities, and we heard a little bit about Cami in our convention talk about the CRM capabilities. They are already in place, some of them. We can already start to nurture customers within the platform once we put them in there, and you know, customized training for your organization. You know, these guys have never had a university like ours full of content, a knowledge base like ours full of content to train their force. Now they don't have to do nothing but put them in a room and start playing a few videos and let them get trained, right? And then bring their sponsoring guy like me or Rice or Rob, whoever is bringing them, and you know, anybody can do this. And if you're properly trained, you can help that business owner train his force and become better, because you as his sponsor will make good money with them. So you might as well make sure that they're well treated, that they're well trained, that you're taking care of them, because you know, they can do this by themselves, right? You're bringing them the opportunity to join Powur, but you want to give them the value that they're expecting, because if not, why would they be there for, right? So, you know, this is a little bit about what the pricing for the enterprise is. The pro account is $350, just so you guys know. Seated sellers are $50. Lead generations and admin people are $25. So you as an organization kind of decide what do you need, and you know, plug in the people you need to help you, and then you know, you can design the compensation plan around it, the team building capability around it. You know, it's very comprehensive and very customizable. So I encourage you to, you know, before you go out and try to recruit the world of the enterprise, understand the value proposition, right? Understand this very well. We have weekly trainings on enterprise as well. I think on the platform, Michelle Dawson does once a week on enterprise, which I've been with her a few times in there. You know, we try to keep this overall for everyone, but you know, make sure that you understand sitting with these companies that your value proposition is there and you have to own it. If you don't, rather you call somebody that do and help you with him. You'll be better off. Talk to Luigi, talk to me, talk to Raisa. Hey, I have an enterprise I want to talk to. I just don't have the knowledge to do that. How do we make the approach? Well, go make an appointment. Bring a guy like Rob or you know, pick your leadership and go with them. Have them, you know, prep the customer for that meeting, and then bring your DH, right? Yeah, my guys do that all the time. They set up a meeting and say, "Hey, Moises, I need you Friday because I'm meeting this guy, and you know, he's a heavy hitter, and I don't feel comfortable answering all his questions." No problem. I'll go with you. That guy is going to sign, and he's going to sign under my guy. I'm not, you know, there's no jealousy here. It's all about helping him because I'm making money anyway. This guy is going to be my second line. He's going to be an enterprise installing 10, 15 projects a month. He's going to leave me another $2,000, $3,000 a month in override. So why not help him, right? I'll help him and I'll train him too. So guys, I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna open up a little bit. If you guys have questions, we can, you know, open the mic a little bit, Raisa. I don't know. I hope you guys love this, and you know, share some comments in the chat. Let me see how excited you are. Let me know that this was good information.
I was gonna say thank you so much for that, because I feel like it clarified so much, but I know that there's questions. And I guess people will put, so if you want, you know, either raise your hand or type the questions in the chat, whatever you feel comfortable with, and Moses will take some time. But just in dialogue with you, Moses, so what would be the top 5 people that you would be looking for to become an enterprise? Like, what are the top 5 businesses? So
well, you know, we know
installers, right? So obviously installers.
Yeah.
And let's
my background. My background coming from.
I'm sorry. Let's peel that one back one more, because installers more than because they can do the jobs for us, and obviously they have a sales team. But I want to open up people's mind, because we are dealing with a market that only has one installer, right? And so there comes issues with that when there's just one installer that we rely on. So me and you had this conversation, so we can technically open up the market with enterprise installers. So
exactly,
that's number 1 for me.
The number one, I mean, me coming from the solar industry, I target solar professionals and solar companies, small companies, because I know the value I can bring them, right? And sometimes they're a little proud to want to talk to me, but at the end, I keep there until they hear me out. And when they do hear me out, they start opening up a little bit, right? So like you said, you know, there are some places that we want to be better and we don't have the installer. And if you have somebody in an area that could become that installer, then you're not only filling a void for the installer by bringing him the enterprise, you're also filling a void for yourself, because now you're getting yourself on a stronger position to dominate that installation area with 2, 3, 4 install partners that can carry volume, right? And really grow with you and your team. So, that would be my first group. My second group obviously would be realtors. And I had a meeting this morning with a realtor in my team who is he just works with a big local firm here. And we were talking about, what is his position into bringing these realtors into the game. He told me that they're struggling. He said, Moises, people are complaining in the market about realtors because there's not the same amount of jobs. They're not closing the same amount of deals. They're not qualifying for loans. People can't buy homes the same way they were buying 2 years ago. So there's going to be the next 2-3 months, this population of realtors will start replenishing their savings and not making the income they were making, and they're going to start looking for options for real, right? So we must be ready for that. How about that, Cowboy?
Hey, Moises, could you go a little bit further and expound on the value proposition of mortgage lenders and their pre-existing owners? Like, what if somebody had 50, 60 sales, like, and 100 sales, and they were the top mortgage lender in New Jersey, or the top because right now, what if you can join forces with somebody that's a big time leader in EXP, or one of those new organizations coming up like LPT, and just joining that? What is the value proposition of another cloud-based organization joining up with our cloud-based organization? 10x.
It's great, because at the end, imagine that you can tap into, an EXP broker, and all of a sudden this broker manages 100 realtor sellers, right? I mean, look at the numbers. And you start meeting with these people, and they're looking for options, and some of them will like the opportunity to be sellers, and some won't. But the ones that won't will become your ambassador until they make their first 1,000 or 2. Then they want to play with the $5 and $6 and $7 and $10,000 game. So, expand that into realtors. Always anybody that's touching the home. So I like, HVAC. I like, pool, people from pool services, in-home general contractors. I was just with an enterprise last night on a meeting that I met this guy on a meeting outside. Somebody introduced him to me, and I saw his shirt. It was a general contractor. I said, hey, I got to talk to you. And I made a phone call to him the next day, and we spoke a little bit. And last night we got on a Zoom. This guy is remodeling 20 homes a month, doing a bathroom here, a kitchen there, putting a fence in somebody's patio, right? When I told him that, let's think that you do 20 a month, that's 240 homes a year. 10, 20% of that, it's 50 solar installations at 7,000. That's $350,000 in income that you can make just by servicing 20% of your yearly population that you already have. It's in your database. All you have to do is sit down and call them. So, I mean, this guy was seeing dollar bills on his eyes like rolling. Okay, so think of people that have access to people. Think of people that work with people. And when I say people, with homeowners, with our customer, right? People that service our customers, air conditioning, roofers, HVAC, home repairs, handymans, don't undertake, electricians. Imagine you have an electrician, and all of a sudden you tell him, hey, now you can also sell solar. You're the guy that is fixing everybody's electricity in this area. How many homes have you serviced in the last year? It's in the hundreds, people. When you have that conversation, these companies that's been established for 2, 3, 5 years, they've done hundreds of jobs in your area. In homeowners, talk to them. This is a value proposition for both. You're not looking for nothing without giving something back. This is candy for both. I'm going to help you grow your business. You're going to help me grow mine, right? This is how alliances get built and how people get strong, right? It's by working together, not by working apart. So I've become a specialist at that. And that's why, I'm recruiting so with such success. And on the second part, when you recruit with success, you become a top mentor as well, because people are coming in new and they see you as the figure to learn from. So they want to tag you as a mentor. And, you know, by the way, I learned how to close properly, and I learned about solar the right way, and I learned how to recruit like you recruit, right? So emulate that. And that's my best advice for you guys today.
and another thing I want to touch upon also, Moises, thank you for that, man. Those were gems, a platinum. That was everything right there. But another thing is because I actually sit down with you and outside of this, and you've never touched upon lead generation sources. Now, could you expound on that a little bit? Because you add that.
Yeah.
You said somebody can come in who's already generating leads for whatever they're generating leads for, specifically solar, and they could come in there and get an enterprise spot and just give you deals that's ready to go, and you can just get the split off of that without just getting them for $150 up front. They can actually get a huge 10x on their money just by going ahead and submitting in the back office at a low cost per month. That right there was fire, because like I have a lot of people reaching out to me. I tell them, there's a position for them, but like when you touched upon that tonight, that opened up a whole nother funnel, man. Thank you for that.
Good. I'm happy, Cowboy. Looking forward to your growth in this company. If you guys apply a little bit, just a little bit of this every day. The realtor I talked today, all I told him was get the next 7 days. I want you to talk to 10 new people every day, to send this video to distant people every day. And by the end of next week, you have talked to 150 people. You'll start seeing the things to roll.
Moses, I got a question too. Well, not really a question. I wanna help promote as well. First of all, put some flames in the chat for Moses. This is the reason why I wanted him on this call. And when I reached out, I'm like, bro, this man is a book of knowledge. You know, him, Luigi, their family, and we're super blessed to be able to be connected and get information like this. So I appreciate you, bro. And another thing I want you guys to know is that Moses is hosting, the Powur Day, April 15th in Orlando too. So make sure you reach out. If you guys have anybody who's in Orlando that's interested, to help build out that market. Obviously, Marine, you're doing it out there for Lauderdale as well, April 15th. We got some connections in the St. Pete market that's doing it. We're going to be in Massachusetts, April 15th. So I wanted to touch base on that because we're going to be in Mass. So a lot of the teams here in Tampa, St. Pete, however you guys, if you got people in Fort Lauderdale, I just want to help support all the leaders. And thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to be able to have a location to take people to, so just keep that in mind, guys. April 15th, it's a couple spots, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, obviously in Massachusetts, we're going to be in Springfield.
Thank you,
I want to make sure that everybody knows that that's happening, and let's make it a focus to get people in the rooms. When you want your guests to meet old Moses in Orlando, you know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you want them to meet them? They got so much knowledge, and Maureen and Joel out there in Fort Lauderdale, they're all killing the game. So one thing I've learned as a recruiter, as a builder, is taking yourself out the way and putting people in a position to be blessed by leaders like Moses and Luigi. And shout out to Luigi, man. He helped us close a deal in Connecticut today for Lucinda. Shout out to Lucinda. She got her 4th closed deal today. So that was a big part. I'm sharing that because a lot of the time we don't see what these leaders do behind the scene for us. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure that you guys get that recognition and that appreciation and respect that, that y'all deserve. Y'all spend the time to be, Luigi did a great training yesterday for the team. We're super appreciative. Now we got Moses. We got back-to-back trainers from yesterday to today. So I just don't want that to go unnoticed. We appreciate everything that you guys are doing, whatever we could do. The best way to pay these people back is to bring people to those events. Bring people to the Powur Day, get them connected. Anytime you see Moses doing a training, Luigi, anybody, just plug in, man, because it's powerful. Remember, we're still students. We're new to the game too. We learning just as much as everybody else on here. So when I get Moses talking about all this information, we could have had this conversation privately. I just want everybody to see that. This is an open book. We want everybody on the team to win. That's why we want everybody plugged in. There's no reason why we shouldn't have 100 people on here on these calls when you got someone like Moses or Luigi that's pouring in. He's been 15 plus years. Think about it. They seen the whole transition of solar. the game changed and they got a chance to see that. So we're super blessed to be a part of it. I'm excited. Great training. You know, I wanted to know more about the enterprise myself, so I got a lot of nuggets from there, as Cowboy and a couple other people did. But I see Maureen. Maureen, you got a question? Go ahead.
Well, and I just wanted to say, yeah, regarding, I mean, great training, Moises, thank you. And the enterprise stuff too, you know, like I've been very privileged. I got to share a room with Melissa Dawson for 10 days, basically, like virtual convention, Salt Lake. You know, we'll be at SolarCon, and just really understanding, like, we're just in the infancy now of where this is really going to expand. And so I've been diving into that a lot. So if you guys have, you know, questions, or if you're coming to the Fort Lauderdale event too, you know, Joelle and I are going to be doing hopefully monthly meetings specifically for like that, the more intimate one we did at the rooftop, like specifically for small businesses too. So if that's kind of a vertical you really want to focus on, I mean, we can strategize, build it out together. I'm learning this stuff as well. And just encouraging you guys, no matter where you are in the country, you know, Brenda's in California.